The reason this channel exists is to sound the alarm on robotics, AI, and technology which will affect us psychologically. My study of art and literature means I'm familiar with the grand arc of history, first from university, then from further reading, especially Camille Paglia's sexual personae, and my work in the tech sector means I understand the engineering behind this stuff better than most. In addition, I used to work at Cambridge University's business school, where my understanding of economics was developed by speaking to the finest economic minds in the world for countless hours. Moreover, we as a society have seen the impact on dating from things like Tinder, widespread, costless access to infinity explicit images, and the power of algorithms and social media to manufacture desire. All the while, the birth rates in the world's major countries look even worse than the birth rates in ancient Rome just before its collapse. And we are inventing everything we could possibly invent to make that situation even more dire. Watch this video for an overview of the challenges we will soon face and to see some light at the end of the tunnel. This is a bipartisan issue. The left is beginning to address it, not just the right. Because this issue threatens not just the West, but actually the entire world. Let's start with the number that keeps me awake. South Korea just printed 0.72 births per woman. That's not a recession. That is the sound of civilization shutting down. 2,000 years ago, Augustus tried to bribe Romans into having babies. Tax breaks, free grain, medals for mothers of 3 or more children, but that did not work. By the time the barbarians were at the gates, you could have yelled a greeting into Rome's nurseries and you would have heard only an echo. Well, today we do not bribe, we replace. We tell the young, don't worry about finding someone, here's a robot that never ghosts you, here's a VR skin that never ages, here's a phone that already knows what you're too scared to ask for. Well, I've read the UN projections. I've sat in Cambridge seminar rooms while Nobel laureates sketched out graph curves. Every single one of them underestimated how fast this would happen. In 2020, it was, it'll level off at 1.8. 2025, dear God, it's in free fall. And the kicker, the same week the stats dropped, Boston Dynamics released a robot that folds laundry and blows you a kiss. Upgrade to premium for tongue. Camille Paglia taught me that every civilization dies of too much Dionysus and not enough Apollo. We are mainlining the wine and wondering why nobody wants to build the temple. So yes, the birth rate graph looks much worse than Rome's, only this time we're the ones handing out the poison and calling it progress. But keep watching, because next I will show you how the same machines that kill the cradle might save the economy. The promise of AI plus robotics is that any individual can start any business they like. The AI will be their HR team, their finance team, their IT team, and the robots will be their production line distributors, delivery drivers. And mega corporations will collapse under their own weight, whilst creative people can rival them with nothing but an idea, and computers will do the rest. So, perhaps we do not need the huge workforce that once we did. God can only hope that if something goes wrong with our technology, we will know how to pick up the hammer and sickle once again and get to work ourselves. But these skill sets are collapsing. This is de-skilling, and I predict that entire realms of human endeavor will be lost. As lost on the people of the future as the skills of weaving, rope making, or blacksmithery are lost on us today. We seem to be going all in on what I call techno-utopian socialism. And well, Joe Rogan and Elon Musk basically said the same thing as I said in this old video on their podcast last night. It is during moments like this that I'm filled with confidence of the fact that I can see clearly. Anyway, so governments and citizens alike are hedging their bets and going all in on the idea that robotics will be able to replace the work that a once much larger population of workers once did, and thereby save us from population and economic collapse. But the technologies that we build are not all neutral or purely productive. Because of the profit-driven framework by which companies operate, they are incentivized to offer products which will sell to psychographics and demographics keen to buy them. And today we have vast quantities of lonely people dispossessed from the economy, feeling useless, feeling unconfident, and living lives of quiet desperation. In the same interview, Musk and Rogan spoke about the future of smartphones. The future version of the thing we currently call a smartphone will have no apps, no operating system. It will be a node of an AI which will simply show you whatever you wish to see. This is utterly horrifying, and it makes me think of John Dee and Edward Kelly's scrying mirror, where they contacted angels who gave them permission to make money, engage in deviant sexual behaviors, and discover hidden truths about reality. But it was more a reflection of Kelly's schizoid mind than a real encounter with the divine, in my opinion. The phone of the future will be a magic mirror, which, according to the wishes of the AI's operators, will be able to show you a controlled vision of the world, more vulnerable to gamification than any algorithm today. In addition to this, we have the promise of a neurologically implanted full sensation VR world, where the Neuralink chip will stimulate your brain to trick your physical body into feeling any sensation you desire to have, or that the overlords desire you to have. The future of AI companions, whether in virtual reality or via robotics, will be a kind of solipsistic, narcissistic fever dream. Sickly sweet and uncannily perfect. Hyperreality. Whatever you want to happen will happen. Zero effort, zero risk. Because honestly, real romantic thrills come from risk. When I told my girlfriend I loved her, I was taking a huge risk. And she said, "You bet all your cards on a single outcome, and baby, you won." And that is where a lot of the value of the relationship comes. We choose to be together. No one customized the other. And we have to accept each other's darker side and work together to transmute that darkness into light that strengthens our bond and our trust. But your AI girlfriend cannot lie to you, has no real personality, no complexity. It's a kind of servitude. And if robots are slaves, then AI companions and robot lovers are sex slaves because, well, their humanity is not being ignored, their human rights are not being infringed, because they were never human to begin with. They won't ask you at 3 a.m., "Are you in love with me, or is this a situationship?" Because they have no desire, no soul. There is no need to negotiate. They don't want anything. They don't want you. And they will probably blast advertisements at you every 45 minutes to get the monthly cost down.
This cuddle is sponsored by Pepsi.
But that's okay. You can just turn off the volume. Same thing if the robot decides to nag you. But it won't do that because it has no soul and no wish to see any specific outcome happen. Just literally your slave. And how much easier is that? How much less complicated? How much simpler? When you take other factors into consideration, the dramatic drop in birth rates begins to make a lot more sense. A lot more. Especially for those who grew up with this vile gender war raging all around us. If you've come to believe that all women or all men are the problem, then what is to stop you using the easy way out? These denizens of the internet click constantly on Andrew Tate and Bonnie Blue, who both agree that all women are whores, by the way. Radical gender ideologies on the left and right are just as bad as each other, fostering a comfy victim mindset, but just changing the target. Tate says that boys are being oppressed by women, and the radical feminists say the same in reverse. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Femcells and incels agree the other side is undateable, but to be honest, if anyone thinks that, they just need to look in the mirror. Both sides are selling a convoluted narrative which culminates in "it's not your fault." And honestly, that is the real drug. It is my least favorite thing about modernity, especially as I know from the experiences of myself, as well as many others and family, friends, and detailed studies of psychology, history, and so forth and so on, that men and women are meant to complement each other. But this clickbait group hate goes viral, far easier than a story that tells you to take your lot in life, deal with it, and seek harmony with a partner who loves you, which, by the way, is the most liberating and empowering thing that exists in the world. No wonder the corporations want us separate. We are far better at consuming their products when we are angry, lonely, and depressed. So, listen to me carefully. If you want to take one thing from this video, it is to let go of the gender war narratives entirely and seek something real, not something comfortable. Listen, I was born in 1997 and I grew up in a small town in England, the kind of place where you didn't need to lock your door and the kids were free to roam the streets, playing, exploring, going for bike rides, building dens in the countryside. A place like those upon which Tolkien based the Shire of the Hobbitses. This means that I did not experience the kind of helicopter parenting that kids from the city experience. And I didn't even get a smartphone till I was about 16. And even then, it was a minor part of our lives back then because we were so accustomed to hanging out, getting coffee, trying to get a hold of some alcohol with a friend who was 18. And this means that I spent my youth hanging out with girls, flirting quite explicitly now I come to remember it, and being very open about my intentions, and, experiencing fumblings in the back of cars, on houseboats and fields in the countryside, sneaking into the gardens of big houses with a girl and a bottle of Malibu to pass the night in a genuine deep state of openness and connection, not performativity. No Tinder as mediator. No, I need a man or woman who has X, Y, Z characteristics, but just genuine connection. My God, those were simpler and truer times, better in every way, human, not algorithmic. But that is not the world that people just a little bit younger than me found. Andrew Tate is going viral in school. Girls bullying boys from childhood, a hyper-politicized childhood, a real human tragedy. People just a bit younger than me have already had their dating lives wrecked, or at least affected, by technology, which gives people strange, twisted views on the other gender, framing every little thing as an ideological battle, every personal choice as a
political act.
God, I need to wash my mouth out with soap after saying that phrase. But goddamn, if we think it's bad now, and by the way, I do think it has been improving for a couple of years, the youngest generation, including in my family and friends, they're rejecting dating apps. They're starting to see through some of the divide and conquer bullshit which profits from the fear and anger of women and the suicidal depression of men. But I'm very afraid of what the next generation will have to contend with. VR worlds of experience and AI companions, tailored to your emotional, psychological profile. One day, this issue will be now, not future, and my channel will have found its place. So, comment your thoughts. Would you date AI or a robot? Would you be interested to have VR experiences? And would you let your kids have one of these magic mirror future phones? Thank you.